Yo everyone, today I'm going to teach you how to master Vegas on F1 2025. First of all, by doing a low speed lap analysis around every single corner going into detail. Then, how would I adjust the time trial world record setup to be good in a racing condition? Wrapping up the video with a full speed qualifying lap example, including my ERS strategy. So, into turn 1 for the lap analysis, you'll be braking at the 100-meter board and or, if you want to be really brave, braking where the curve starts on the right-hand side of the circuit. So, you can drive just 2 wheels over the curbing on the right-hand side. It's just a painted surface, it's not bumpy at all. But when you drive over the white line, the game deems it as off the track. So although you're keeping your tyres inbound so you won't get a track limit invalidation, as you can see the track is slightly more dusty on the right hand side of the circuit here the closer you get to the wall, so you will have less grip, making it easier to lock up your tyre going into turn 1. So play with the risk versus reward as you would like. I choose not to go that aggressively over the outside curbing. The actual inside curbing for turn 1, again, you can throw the car over the inside curbing, but I choose not to, and I basically choose to get 2 wheels basically where that white line is on the inside, down into 3rd gear, so then the car is more stable in this phase of the corner to get back on the power, and then you'll be going up to 5th gear on the exit, bringing the car to the left-hand side as close to the wall as possible before opening up the fast right-hander. With a good setup in qualifying, this will be easily flat out, and it's all about managing the front left tire scrub. If you turn too much or too aggressively, you'll oversaturate the front tire, leading to understeer and then the possibility of not taking it flat out. DLS wide open and keep the car to the left hand side of the circuit, and now a really difficult braking zone, even just a spot in all honesty. You're coming down into the corner here, and as you can see, you got this black board that's kind of blocking the 100-meter board as well, so you have to keep that in mind, and you'll be looking for the 100-meter board is going to be your conservative braking point, and then where you get to the sort of drain gully underneath the circuit, well, not underneath the circuit, underneath the car, as you can see right now, this will be a more aggressive braking point going into the corner, and this curb is starting about 65 meters before the apex, so you don't really want to be braking at that point. But yeah, the 100-meter board or the drainage cover is going to be your ideal points going down into 3rd gear. Do not go all the way over this inside curbing, to be honest. You can take a super high risk, but you can see the car bottoms out quite a lot on top of it, so I like to just take 2 wheels on the inside curbing and then maximize my exit speed potential. It's really easy to get oversteer here on the exit, because if we reverse it just slightly, you're going to see the track falls away from you a little bit on the exit. If you go into nose camera, you can see the elevation change a little bit better, as now you're exiting turn 3, this should be. Turn 4. I know, I think it's turn 4 technically on the track map. Anyway, you can see it goes downhill, so it makes it really easy to lose the rear end of the car. Now, Sector 1 is ending and Sector 2 is beginning. You want to keep the car to the middle of the road and look to the outside of the circuit to be spotting your marker boards for the braking zone. As you can see, 150 now, and the next one's up 100. This corner really sneaks up on you, and it's so easy to overshoot your braking zone. But yeah, you want to be braking about 80 meters before the corner. At the moment, you still can't see the corner, so you really just want to be relying on a good racing line, keeping the car fairly central to the circuit. I would say 3/4 to the outside, closer to the wall is the ideal line to go. And again, you'll see it in my full speed qualifying lap example later on in the video, exactly how I approach this at full speed. So yeah, 80 meters before the corner, and as you get closer and closer, the apex will come into vision, and you want to be as open going into this corner as possible. Down into 3rd gear, the maximum risk and the fastest way possible is up and over this inside curbing, getting 2 wheels as close to the track limits as possible, and the same is true. Oh look, the little ball things there, nice. Anyway, getting back to the point, he's looking at me. Ah, bless him. Ah, anyway. Oh wait, I'm getting really distracted here. Jesus. Anyway, for this corner, you want to be as close over this inside curbing as well. The car will bottom out, so you actually approach this corner slower than you actually think you need to to compensate for the car bottoming out. But traveling the less distance, even with the car bottoming out, is better than carrying more minimum speed and driving around the curbing, basically. Going into this next left-hander, the rear tires and the front tires are starting to overheat on the surface, as you've just done quite an intense sequence of corners. Going into this, though, you can take 2 wheels on the inside curbing. This will mean you have a better mid-corner speed, but slightly compromise your traction, whereas if you don't take the inside curbing, you'll have less mid-corner speed, but better traction. So just pick the one that suits your driving style, and to be honest, I do both. Depending how my tires are feeling, depending on how I'm feeling on that lap, then either I'll try to go with the apex on the inside, or I'll try to go for a better exit. So it's a lot about just driver comfort and understanding and reacting and adapting to the car in the specific moment that you're actually in. Coming up into the next braking zone, what's really difficult, actually, really underrated how the difficulty of this braking zone is, because the car, now you're approaching 8th gear here, and the car starts to bottom out, and you really get some scraping over the front axle or the floor anyway, you know. So you're approaching this corner, and the car's like starting to bottom out, and it's so easy to end up understeering actually towards the outside wall. So you approach it, and you want to get the car as straight as possible as you're approaching underneath the bridge. If you don't have the car straight at this point, then you end up in a situation that you're still trying to correct and put steering load into the tires and braking at the same time, what makes it super easy to lock up the tires. So just as you're approaching underneath the bridge here, what's going to be, from this point onwards, it's about 75 meters before the corner. Actually underneath the bridge, as you can see, it's closer to about 60, but yeah, you want to be braking just after the 100-meter board, which is very difficult, if not impossible, to spot when you're approaching at speed. So yeah, I like to use the bridge, because it's not going to move, hopefully, and it's something I can use to identify a bit easier. So yeah, about a car length before you get to the bridge, maybe a car length and a half is a good way to go. Down into 3rd gear, and you want to be opening up the track as much as possible before turning in. Ideally, you get rid of this ridiculously sized bollard. Like, seriously, why is it like huge? Why is it so big? You'll be driving over the inside curbing and committing as much as possible, trying to avoid a track limit invalidation. That is the perfect, and I mean perfect, way to do it, but it's very hard and very inconsistent to do it that way. The more consistent way to do it, and it doesn't really lose you much time, maybe half a tenth in a perfect situation, is just 2 wheels on the inside curbing, prioritize the exit, and get as close to the wall on the outside as possible, and now opening up your speed onto the straight. 6th, 7th, 8th gear, keep the car to the inside here because it's quite bumpy on the outside of the circuit, so you bottom out a little bit more. Of course, that generates more friction with the floor, reducing top speed potential. Open up DRS and gradually bring the car over to the right hand side, just keeping the wheel in a straight line. If you're in qualifying and or a race, try to pick up a cheeky little slipstream, as it will help your top speed approaching the braking zone. The braking zone here, there is like no reason to risk braking late. Honestly, like, we always think that we have to be last on the late braders and like a hero on the brake pedal. This is really not the case, honestly, because the speed that you carry in on this corner, you gain back on the exit, or vice versa. If you overspeed on the entry, you lose so much on the exit, and if you brake slightly early, you gain a lot back on the exit, you know? So there's really no risk to be, or reason to be risking everything in this braking zone. I like to be braking 110, 120 meters before the corner, and then modulating the brake pedal as I go in, because you're approaching at like 215 miles an hour in the game, of course. Maybe not in real life. Maybe it'll be a bit scary if my sim rig was moving at 250 miles an hour. Anyway, I'm ranting a little bit. I need to get back to the point. So, yeah, there's no risk. There's no reason to be risking braking super late into the corner and then modulating the brake pedal as you get closer and closer to the corner to compensate for the speed and grip you actually have. If you brake super early, you can take a bit of a risk and jump over the inside curbing with 2 tires, but to be honest, the more normal and safer and quite consistent way to go about it is just 2 wheels where the white line is, short shift to 4th, and just do a little lift of the throttle as you go over this inside curbing, because the car will bottom out, so you just do a little lift there, and and now back to full power, open up the steering wheel, and this is a run to the start-finish line here in Vegas. Again, a final trick of the trade is keeping the car where this white line is, as you can see right now, because you're going to get less bottoming from the car if you follow this trajectory, and then try to get over this inside curbing as well to minimize the distance to the start-finish line. This will both apply in the race and in qualifying, but in qualifying, you try to keep the car to the inside of the road to minimize distance extra. Of course, in the race, you prioritize bringing the car to the right-hand side to open up the following lap. So that has been a 9-minute and 39-second lap here in Las Vegas, and we're going to be jumping into the world record setup right now. So this is the setup that the world record was done with. Immediately, I would suggest just going up on the front tire pressure is just something very standard, to be honest, on this game's iteration of the F1 2025 game cycle. If you're feeling quite instability with the rear axle, maybe go up to 30% on the off-road differential, whereas if you like that instability or more rotation, you can stay at 20 or 25. The rest of this looked pretty good, decent, to be honest. Of course, if the rear tire is more deg in the race, go forward and forward with the braking bias. I'd probably say a maximum of 55, but yeah, you can play around with this. Anywhere between 55 and 54, I would say, in a racing edition is quite good to go with. And yeah, that is the setup. So let's head over to the full speed qualifying lap example right now and get straight into the lap. How to master Vegas on F1 2025. Brake where the curb starts on the right hand side, down into third gear, squeeze the throttle on the exit, easily flat out through the right hander here. Now burning the battery down to 80% on the corner exit. DLS wide open as now you keep the car to the left hand side of the circuit. Just after the 100-meter board is your braking zone. Clip the curbing on the inside. Be careful with the throttle as the track falls away from you. Very difficult braking zone here. 80 meters before the corner. Throw it over the inside curbing again. A maximum priority on getting a clean exit onto this little straight. Really, really important now to focus on the next braking zone. Probably the most difficult braking zone on the whole track. Looking for the bridge as your braking reference. Brake just before the bridge, down into third gear. Commit over the inside curbing. An absolute importance to maximize the exit onto the longest straight here in Las Vegas. Of course, down the Las Vegas Strip, and now you'll be opening up DLS at the detection point and burning the battery down until 20%. 110, 120 meters before the apex is going to be your braking point. Now looking to be very careful in the middle to maximize your opportunity to carry speed off the corner. Burning the battery all the way to the start-finish line, minimizing your distance as well to try and keep your lap time as low as possible. Across the line, we've done a 1 minute 29.471 with our sector times being a 25.8, a 28.9, and a 34.6 to round out the lap. So I've been Brendon Leigh. Thank you so much for watching the video, and hopefully it's been helpful to you as well. With that being said, I will catch you next time. Grazie ragazzi. Ciao ciao. Bye bye.